I went from being constantly bloated and hiding in baggy clothes to feeling energized, confident, and loving my body. And the things that made the biggest difference weren't some detox scams or some debloating magical teas. It was just science-backed habits that I could easily implement into my life. And you can do it too. So today I'm giving you all my debloating hacks and all of my hot girl habits that help me get my dream body without losing my mind, because you deserve it. And you still deserve to be able to live your life normally and have a social life while you're doing it. Those things don't exclude each other, because this is not about suffering, this is about looking good, feeling hot, and being the main character. So let's get started. I have a bachelor's degree in nutrition, which basically means I spent years reading research papers, so you don't have to. And I'm here to save you from the TikTok advice and also from all of the random advice that makes zero scientific sense. Because if there's something the internet loves, it is misinformation, especially about diets. It's literally so bad. Let me tell you, if you do things right, then reaching your dream body doesn't have to be hard. For me, the college 15 literally worked in reverse. Instead of gaining a bunch of weight, I found so many little hacks and habits that no one talks about online. And I was the girl always eating whatever she wanted and still feeling good afterwards. Now let's get started and make sure to stay until the end, because this will change the way that you build your meals forever. The truth that no one wants to talk about is that a lot of people are bloated. And the solution to bloating is not losing weight. It's not doing more cardio, and it's not necessarily eating less. It is about how you eat and when you eat. I mean, think about it. When have you ever solved bloating by starving yourself, which is not something you should ever do? Or drinking a skinny tea? Probably never. Bloating is usually caused by a bunch of different factors. It could be salt. It could be a lack of fiber, because it has been scientifically proven that higher intake of sodium leads to water retention. Sodium is one main part of salt. Therefore, if you eat a lot of salty foods, of course your body is gonna retain more water because it binds with that salt. There are some other interesting findings that are relevant in this context. For instance, lack of sleep can lead to higher levels of the hormone ghrelin, which is your hunger hormone. As a result, if you sleep less, you might feel hungry more often. Who would have thought about that? And to make matters worse, it's oftentimes the little things that count. For instance, not eating enough fiber can lead to constipation. And if you're constipated, you might feel bloated. It kind of goes hand in hand. Now, don't get scared. It sounds really bad, but the truth is all of these things are easily fixable. I created my own non-negotiables that I always try to take care of, and these help me debloat and keep my dream body. The thing is, these are things that you ideally should have anyway if you want to have at least a moderately healthy lifestyle. But they do have the side effect that they make you less bloated and less puffy and make you feel better. So these are some things that you should definitely try to implement, and you should really focus on every single day. If you're interested in glowing up and more topics like these, make sure to subscribe and also follow me on my social media for the daily motivation and the behind the scenes. Drink enough water. And no, you don't have to drink 10 liters a day. 2 to 3 liters are usually enough, especially because we do intake water through other things such as soup, for instance. You don't need to go overboard with this, but you need to make sure that your body is properly hydrated. Prioritize your sleep. Try to sleep at least 7 hours every single night. Ideally, you would aim for 8, but do whatever you can, okay? Do your best. Not sleeping enough has so many negative consequences, even mental consequences, like you won't be able to concentrate that well. You will feel foggy, you will be irritated. And add fibers to every single one of your meals. This can be done through swaps. So for instance, swapping your morning toast with whole wheat toast, or your morning cereal with whole wheat cereal, or just adding some chia seeds to your cereal. Or for lunch, instead of having white rice, use brown rice or use lentils. Chickpeas are also great. Quinoa is also a really good side. Even if you're eating something that typically doesn't have a lot of fiber, for instance, a steak, you can just add something. You can make a little side salad and then maybe just add some linen seeds on that. Or add a few extra raw vegetables into that salad. With the tiniest amount of extra effort, it would literally take you 5 minutes. You could double or even triple your daily fiber intake. The general guidelines suggest that women should consume 25 grams of fiber a day. The problem is that most people don't even eat this amount. But 25 grams are totally achievable, and you can do this the following way. Eat 2 slices of whole wheat bread in the morning with some sort of topping. Let's say you put peanut butter and banana on it, or top it with some avocado and a few pieces of tomato. Then for lunch, eat a bowl that has avocado, that has a couple of vegetables, a bit of quinoa, and a bit of rice. Then as a snack, have some nuts or have some fruit. You can also make a chia pudding that has a lot of fiber. And then for dinner, you could have baked potato with some sort of protein, for instance salmon or chicken or steak. If you don't want to have meat, meat than just some roasted veggies. Reaching your ideal fiber intake is not hard, it just requires a little bit of planning. And eating enough fiber can be the simplest and quickest way to reduce bloating. But again, here's what nobody will tell you, is that if you overdo it, there are also side effects. So if you want to increase your fiber intake, you should do this gradually. You shouldn't just go from 0 to 100. The thing is, there's bacteria in your digestive tract. This bacteria loves eating fiber and it's really healthy for them. However, let's simplify it. If you overdo it, this bacteria eats too much fiber and they get gassy. Think about it like a baby who had something wrong to eat. As a result, you get gassy as well because the bacteria is inside of you. And as a result, you get bloated. And this is not the result we want. So make sure to increase your fiber intake gradually. Something that has shown really positive outcomes, even in studies, is monitoring your food intake. I'm not a fan of tracking every single calorie that you eat, but I do agree that it is really important to be aware of what you're eating. If you don't know what you're eating on a daily basis, it might be really hard to implement changes because you don't know where to make changes, what foods to swap out, or if you should just add stuff to your diet. I think, and please be cautious with this. Don't overdo it. I do think that it can be helpful to track your meals for a couple of days just to be aware of what you're eating. For this, you can just write it down in your journal or log meals via an app or just focus on some subparts. For instance, you could create a habit tracker where you tick off every single day where you focused on eating high fiber foods. Over time, you can notice patterns and you can adapt accordingly. Now let's move on to the next section, but make sure you do the things that we talked about because this is just the baseline. Everything else builds on this. And see, there's no need for skinny gummies. Isn't that great? Section 2 are the hot girl habits that keep me sane, debloated, and feeling confident and amazing in my body. They're simple but powerful and they will keep you snatched. Every single hot girl who understands even just the basics of nutrition does this thing. And it's really simple. It's eating high volume but lower calorie foods. Think of vegetables, think of legumes, think of grain. These are amazing for your health overall. They can also be cooked in ways that makes them taste absolutely amazing. And the main idea behind these is that you don't eat so much density in food, you just eat volume. Instead of gulping down a burger, you can just eat a huge bowl of salad, which has greens, which has olive oil, which has proteins. You'll get so many more nutrients by eating high voluminous foods than by just eating the fast food snack. Because they're higher in volume, they increase the satiety signal. So basically you feel fuller for longer. And as a result, you can have less intake of really fatty foods or foods that are really high in sugar overall because you feel fuller. You don't feel the need to snack that often. Again, disclaimer, not that there's anything wrong with snacking. Don't overdo it in both directions. Don't eat too little, but also don't just snack the whole day. And honestly, once you try this, you will never go back. Every single time I have to eat a really dense and oily food for lunch, especially at work, I feel like I could sleep afterwards. Every single time it just makes me miss my meal prepped bowls that have all of the goodness and all of the vitamins and all of the veggies, and I cannot go back anymore. Like every single time I've had to buy food for lunch recently, I've regretted it. Another hack is combining protein with fiber. This keeps you snatched, it keeps you sane, and it still keeps you full. These are literally the power couple, if you will. This is my favorite combination. Fiber helps you slow down your digestion and also stabilizes your blood sugar. Protein increases satiety, and together they're just a power couple. The protein and fiber formula works and it tastes amazing. It's so simple. Think about chicken and veggies, or eggs with whole wheat toast, or salmon with some rice and some asparagus. Chef's kiss. However, again, disclaimer, carbs are very important. I don't love keto. I'm a keto hater. Carbs are supposed to make up 50% of your daily calorie intake. And for good reason, your body needs the energy that carbs give you. For me, for instance, I love the protein and fiber combo for lunch. And then in the evening, I love eating pasta. And this is also a really important topic. Timing matters. I personally prefer to eat really carb-heavy foods in the evening because after that I feel like I could immediately go to sleep. If I eat a big bowl of pasta for lunch, I'm not good anymore. Like I cannot do anything up until like 5 or 6 p.m. that day. It just doesn't work for me. It might be a little bit different for you, but you should be mindful of when you're eating things. I prefer those really big voluminous foods at lunch, also for the reason that they don't make you feel like I'm gonna get such a huge post-lunch slump. They make me feel like, I can just go back to work, I can just do my normal routine, I'm gonna survive the lunch break, and I feel way better overall throughout the whole day if I eat protein and fiber, especially veggies, for lunch, and then carbs for dinner. Now let's talk about the big secret that I've heard literally no one even mention. That is that meal texture matters. If you eat a soft or liquid meal, you don't really chew it. And the lack of chewing can blunt the satiety signal that your body gives off. This means when comparing a liquid meal that you don't have to chew to a normal meal that you do have to chew, both with the same amount of calories, the meal that you actually have to chew will make you feel less hungry in the hours after you ate it. But this basically means don't drink your meals. Don't go for the protein shakes as a replacement for meals. You can do it every now and then if you have to, but don't do this too often. This is literally the opposite of what a high fiber meal would give you. I don't have anything against shakes, but I don't think they should be a meal replacement. I think they should add to your diet. And if you like the taste of them, you might be tricking your taste buds, but you're not tricking your body. Your body needs to chew in order to feel full. That's part of how fullness signals get communicated to your brain. You cannot just skip that step and expect to have no consequences. Also related to this, there are two more things that you should definitely do. First of all, chew slower. There's this honestly really good piece of advice where you eat something and then you put the fork down and you wait for the food to be chewed and swallowed before you pick the fork up again. Because what oftentimes happens, you just have the fork, and you eat and then you already prepare the next piece, and that makes you eat really, really fast. Sometimes you might not even be aware of how fast you're eating. The thing is that you need to give your body time to register that you're eating and that you are not hungry anymore. And it doesn't happen from one moment to the next. There's sometimes even like a 20-minute gap between the eating happening and then your brain actually processing that information and making you feel full as a result. Therefore, you need to be a little bit patient and give it some time to process. So chew thoroughly, make sure to not just gulp down everything in one piece. Take breaks, put your fork down, and don't rush. Also, make sure to avoid ultra-processed foods because honestly, these are the worst of the worst. I know that they're fun sometimes, but they usually have a softer consistency, which leads to less chewing. As a result, it leads to less fullness signals. Therefore, the amount that you intake can be higher. You might overeat, you might get bloated, you might feel way too full afterwards, and you might even have a sugar rush depending on what you're eating. It's just not good. So try to swap out these ultra-processed foods, for instance, cereal, with whole foods like oats, and then you give your body the time to process everything properly. Your dream body is built with consistent daily habits. It's not built with extremes. The best side effect is that if you keep promises that you make to yourself, you tell yourself you're gonna do it and you actually do it, it's gonna make you incredibly confident. And confidence makes you way hotter than abs. Keep that in mind. I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye!